back there against the wall, minus Mrs. Hell that's not back there because we're in up there. She normally doesn't kind of make herself be part of Mr. Durer's circle.
It's a special circle. Yeah. I didn't include the mayor today.
The governor, as I call him, Governor McCann. But it's pretty. This is what a Defiance City Schools Board meeting is like. I'm sure it's different than the feeling when you were there.
I've been to so many all over the state. Yeah. They're all different.
Yeah. So before you were at Dublin, you were in Sugar
Falls for 17 years.
Yeah. And then at Dublin City Schools for how long?
7.
And then retired before you did that.
Yeah, I knew what I was doing after superintendent. I was going to do this for 2 years, and that was it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I'll be a teacher for 10, I'll be a principal for 10, I'll be a superintendent for 10, and then I will retire. And then 11, 16, and now 7. So
20 years left.
Oh, at least I'm just starting to get into my prime. Finally getting these people lined in for how they do the job right. Well, some of them they all, you know what, I feel like I'm a pastor in church because when I talk to Israelites, and then they leave and they go do what they want anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure the loyalty.
Yeah, there's tons of loyalty.
Very little. Call these orders. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Davis? Here. Mr. Bacon?
Here.
Mr. Warren?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
And myself. Here.
We have one registered presentation of public comment, and that would be Dr. David Axner with the Buckeye Association of School Administrators. Dr. Axner.
Thank you, everyone, for giving me some time here and an opportunity to, celebrate Bob and some of the things he's done, not just in your district here, but all over Ohio and the folks that it stands. So you have to bear with me now because I do have a few minutes and some things to go over. And we've got a beautiful award here. This is our Exec Leadership Award. I'll be traveling around. We've got 10 regions in the state, and you are Region 1, so that means you're the best, right? But I will tell you this time of year is, and as I'm traveling and obviously getting work done on the way, both ways, but it really gives me a really good sense and feel of what our superintendents do, and I know many of you do too, probably in associations, to make that drive down to Columbus. We forget that sometimes because everything's down there, so we're going 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we're 15 minutes from the State House. And then, drive up here 2.5 hours. And I will tell you, it's my funnest part of the year because, that time to reflect and just think a little bit and to be able to reward people like your superintendent here. So let me go through this, and some of it's kind of canned in regards to the word itself, and I want to get that across just so everybody understands that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about you. Actually, I don't have to tonight because there are so many things that were handed to me, sent to me, a couple of them from your staff here, but also fellow superintendents that I'll just tell you think the world of you. And I think you're going to feel really good. I won't tell you who all these quotes are from, but I'm guessing you'll have a good sense. So let's start out by this. As I always do, thank you to the Board of Education. And unfortunately, I realize I was situation we don't have everyone here, but I always shake my head, and as you probably do the same, if we want to be a superintendent, we want to be a board member. Other than those that really want to work for these kids that are in our schools, and many of you all the different schools that I visit have certain reasons. Some graduated, some have lived in the community forever, know the schools, were part of a building project. Just you don't many times don't have kids, or you don't have them in the school anymore, but you continue to do it for pretty much nothing. But you do it for all the reasons that you want to make things better. And walking into this building, oh my goodness. First of all, still it's brand new, but I was taken away. I've never had the opportunity to be here. So it's good to see it. And now we can know a little more about the physical aspect of that. So again, board members, thank you for what you do and the time and away from your family. And I can tell you 3 or 4 districts now that school board members, because of redistricting, because of this and that, levies, it's just been really nasty. So it seems that you're in a really good place right now, and I hope that's the case. So just for a few minutes, I'm going to talk about BASA so you know what this board is attached to. For the Buckeye Association of School Administrators, we have over 1,000 members. We have almost every single superintendent in the state of Ohio that's a member. And so what do we do with them? We also have many district leaders. So a lot of times central office folks or even principals will join as an associate member. And maybe they have aspirations, I hope so, to be a superintendent. We represent our members in a lot of different places, but so one would be the department itself of educational workforce. We have a very, very good relationship with Steve Dakin and his crew. They're always wanting to know where's the superintendent's at on this or that that they're going to speak to. The General Assembly, I know that's crazy. Nobody's in there. A little crazy right now in public education, what's going on. But we have 2 people who Bob knows very well, Will and Paul, I haven't seen Paul in a couple of days. I've been down to the State House and we're making progress. Our superintendents are making progress to hang on to the funds, and there's already been some changes made moving forward. So, anything, they're going to take some away. But again, some of those wins we chip away. And again, it's important that we push back, but we've always done that professionally. We want to be in the conversation. We don't want to get in there one time, do a 2-minute yell, and then they're not listening to us. And so those doors are very open. And then the governor's office, in his 2 terms, we've had a really good relationship with the governor also. And also Jim Tressel, his commandant and his one coach was at our fall conference and spoke about that connection and how they work together. And you can tell he thinks the world of the governor, and that's why the governor put him lieutenant governor to be able to do that. So in all those ways, we've made over the years some really good connections, and that's nothing that ends, but we have an opportunity to do that. And fortunately or unfortunately, we'll be doing it again here with the governor's office. So we have 16 standing committees at BASA, and again, superintendents like Bob will figure out which couple they want to be on for that year. Tomorrow we have legislative committee, that's one of them. We will have, we hope we can fit them all in, 75 to 80 superintendents that will be driving in for a very active and important meeting to get up to speed with all that. We have the Ohio High School Athletic Association, just to give some examples here. With Doug Heath, the commissioner, will always be at our meetings with NIL, and we've probably seen it in the news. There's going to be a revote for that. Not sure it's a good thing, but we're working through that with them also. And there'll probably be 30, 40 superintendents there. And then finance, STRS, I could go on and on. So those are good for superintendents to get together, but also get educated, stay up to speed, and really they provide a service to BASA by doing that. So, the award. Each year, we recognize one member in each of the regions, as I mentioned. And again, you are Region 1. And our goal is to provide some external validation for really what you already know. As board members, I hope you know that the talent this man has and his team's reflective of that, because that's most important with the association and the work that you do with the board and obviously being a leader of leaders, which can be very difficult at times and so many times doesn't work. So, again, he's checking all those boxes, and that's what brings me up here tonight. So the criteria for the Exemplary Leadership Award is that you are selected by peers. So this was his peers that selected him, not Dave Axler just said, here we go. Community involvement, active professionally, leader of character, an innovator, sets an example for peers, and is just doing a great job. It's the summation of all of this is what you're doing. So this is a point where normally I say a few bullets about you, but what we always do is put out to your ESC in the area and say, hey, a couple colleagues want to make a comment or whatever. I'm just telling you, Bob, I've never received this many. Okay?
They probably all want something, Dave.
Well, some of them ask for that. No, but I'm totally serious, and so you yourself should feel good about that. But this is in probably a 24-hour period. So usually we get a couple, we mix it in with everything and so forth. So bear with me here. One or two might be right in here too. Of those comments, but I think you can be proud that this is what your colleagues are saying and those that you work with and lead are saying. As a leader, he keeps his focus on the big picture rather than unnecessary details. Bob has been a mentor and one of the people I can count on with a straightforward answer. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks. That usually can be a good thing, right? Bob's leadership consistently reflects the highest standards of integrity, vision, and commitment to students. And Bob's leadership consistently reflects the highest standard of integrity, vision, commitment to all students and staff. He is someone who listens, supports, and inspires all around him. Bob is an advocate for public education and specifically for the Defiance City School District. Steady and trusted leader. Bob continues to be a source of support and leadership, whether it's offering advice, sharing insight, or helping us navigate the constant changes coming from campus. He's a pleasure to work with as a fellow superintendent, and I greatly value his insight and perspective. Bob is one of my mentors, and he doesn't even know it. He is willing to listen, hear me out, provides feedback, and I'm thankful that he's a friend. Bob's dedication to education in his district and community reflects across all Northwest Ohio. And I really like this one. So, we had somebody that spent a couple years trying to get a job administratively as a principal. Spent 2 years applying for positions with no luck because I didn't have a principal experience. At the end of my interview in Defiance, I asked, how can you get experience if no one gives you a chance? Mr. Morton was the one who gave me that chance, and I will be forever grateful to him for it. I'm betting that person has proved that to me too. And then finally, Carrie Ware, who is the superintendent of the Northwest Honor ESC, summed it up by saying this: Bob is a gifted communicator who is well respected across the region. And from a state level, I would say the same. So, congratulations, and come on up. Got two things for you. First of all, so Bob received actually his award down at fall conference in front of 750 folks. All the superintendents were there. So we got a picture of you there with me and Tom Perkins. I met the deputy there, so that's for you. And with this, hopefully, that you'll lay on your wall and be proud of for the example of that. So, thank you. Can we congratulate him for the
Yeah, absolutely. You want to wait? I actually, and I'll say two things. great board to work with, okay? And I don't do any of the work. They do all of the work. You know that. You were a superintendent. You know exactly how it goes. They only come when they maybe you're waffling which way to go. They don't bother me. I don't bother them. They do tons of work. And I get to take credit, but today they deserve as much as this I do. So thank you, guys. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, well, somebody can, and if we could get one with the board also, if we really want them, those that are here.
It's been nice to have our Defiance State Schools backdrop with them and back from having to You've done this before. Yeah. Chief, you can
That's the fan. That's for the listen.
We'll make it justice.
Thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, newspaper and then our social media. All right, thanks. Safe travel.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Dr.
We need to ready.
Hopefully everybody in the station.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Very much so. It's easy to be recognized when you have great people that you work with.
We now turn to the treasurer's report, and Mrs. Fisher is unable to be with us tonight, but Mr. Mayor.
Yes, so I will go over Cheryl's discussion items and action items, and she's a bit under the weather, so we wish her well, and so she can get back, and I don't have to talk finances anymore. First one, item 3.1, we will need an action item in the treasurer's action section to move the November 19th board meeting, regular meeting to November 12th. If you recall, we moved that out of the second Wednesday because that's was when the OSBA conference fell, and we were going to a conference Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then coming back and doing the board meeting. So we moved it to the 19th, then they moved the OSBA conference to that week, so now we need to move it back to the 12th, so we'll meet a week before we go to MASA. Then we have all of our players in place to be able to generate the agenda and have the meeting. Any questions there? I'm going to go over at a very high level the legislative updates, and here's why they change so frequently, and I'll give an example of that. House Bill 96, which was a veto to override item 66, that was a successful override, eliminating fixed sum emergency levies, substitute emergency levies, replacement levies going forward. If the levies that would not be affected, if they exist, but you're unable to renew them, I will say this, there's other legislation out there now that would enable you to potentially renew. It is not official, but if you recall, ours does not expire until we wouldn't have to go back on until 2027. So we have a couple of years, and I've met with, and Cheryl, we've met with Representative Hoops and Klopfenstein and Senator McCulley, and said if you fund us correctly, we can cure our taxpayer problems. But you have to bring us to the table just like Dr. Action said. House Bill 186 was actually at Ways and Means Committee yesterday. And when I say it changes constantly, this bill was introduced and revised. They passed version 10 yesterday. But when I say passed, a bipartisan vote to take it out of committee to the whole house today. I didn't have time to look and see where it was today. But essentially, version 10, initially, it would have cost our school district about $600,000 initially right out the gate, then about $1.2 million each of the following tax years. So we met with our legislators last Friday morning, actually, every superintendent and treasurer in the Fort County area, and just said, if you help us, we'll help you, but you can't come at us rapidly. And this is to help with spikes in property tax. That's what 186 is aimed at. And you have these major inflationary booms in property taxes and valuations, collections go way up. And I think what the issue that I explained was, as our valuation goes up, our state funding levels go down, and then you're going to come at us and you're going to take away our property tax ability to collect. And then, so it's a double-edged sword. Are you going to take our valuations back down as well? And they kind of said, there are a number of factors that play into this, and that's a very good point. So they did pass version 10. We'll go to the House. It was supposed to go today, like I said. That then will go to the Senate if it passes the House. And they put a provision in there to hold school districts harmless for 2 years in that. So that is where the advocacy that Dr. Axner was talking of and getting the right people in place. House Bill 129, this passed the House. It limits the abilities to reallocate unvoted property tax. Essentially, you can't move inside mills anymore. That used to be kind of the dirty way for school districts to generate some funds. I don't feel like being lynched. I would have never recommended that to you, and I'm sure none of you would have wanted to do that, and no longer are you permitted to do that. Eliminating inside millage, that did not. I don't know that will get there because they'll take everything to the County Budget Commission. House Bill 309, Budget Commissions again to reduce millage on voter-approved taxes minus bond issue because that is associated with that. So they cannot lower that. Then there's some percentages that you have to go through that in there. But that is where we are right now. And one of the, I think, the points that we're constantly making with our legislators is we understand that property tax is a kitchen table issue. We do not like to tax. And that when you look at Northwest Ohio, specifically Defiance City Schools, you folks have been very cautious about what you bring to the citizens of the school district in terms of taxes, as evidenced by our fixed sum levy that was originally passed in 1996, and that has been renewed. It did fail because there were some attachments to it, I believe, in 2000, and then it went back to the original that was passed, and that has been left alone and collected that. The language in the law says emergency fixed sum levy. So there's some confusion on, is there an emergency? No, it's a fixed sum levy that collects a certain dollar amount regardless of the valuation of your home. In House Bill 920, if you recall, the more your property is worth, the less millage we collect because it is a fixed sum. So that's important to know. But there's tons of tax reform out there, and you're going to be hearing about this every meeting until it's all settled. So any questions on Mrs. Swisher's legislative updates?
What happens if they're successful in passing the no property tax?
And I think it's Senator McCulley went on record, and I think this is he wouldn't object to me saying this. He said you would have in the neighborhood of an 18% sales tax and a 22-23% income tax. And that would be to fix that revenue. And I want to make something very clear. None of the property tax collected in the state of Ohio are sent to Columbus, Ohio. Those are all managed locally within a county to help our municipalities run, our townships run, our counties run, and our school districts run. So, and when you look at these, the big issue that school districts are having, I call it the big guys. the suburban Columbus, the suburban Cleveland, the suburban Cincinnati, the wealthy school districts, they're getting zero tax relief in any of these bills that are put forth because they're all addressing the floor, which is the law. They're all voted well above the floor. There are school districts spend $25,000 per student. That is their spending. And we manage the money we have to spend exceptionally well and spend $12,000 a student. Those people that are paying $18,000 in property taxes are going to see zero tax breaks. And citizens and school districts that are at the floor, which there are 400 school districts in the state of Ohio, at the floor will be the ones that are affected by that. Throw that into play with the potential elimination of property taxes, then there will be a way that we'll have to collect. It will be an absolute mess, Kathy, quite frankly.
Oh, I agree.
But tax reform is important, and what you have to look at is the way the state of Ohio funds, and I'm speaking schools only. We're in the top 10 in property taxes, meaning how we are assessed the most, and we're in the bottom 5 in how we fund our schools based upon that collection. So there's got to be a balance somewhere. Representative Hoop said very clearly to us, we are going to have to look at how we fund schools to make this work. And we have to be thinking ahead. Because if the referendum gets on the ballot, and it likely will it pass? And if it passes, what is going to be our course of action? You hear a lot of, will property tax, will this pass, and there'll be no property taxes. There is zero plan in place. The plan that is being beat is the state's just going to have to reduce their budget by 20% to make this work. The state doesn't collect any of the property taxes. And so they're actually going to have to increase their taxes or increase their expenditures by 20% to help the school districts and the mayors and everybody else. Does that make sense?
It does. It's just that I keep hearing the people that are promoting property tax. They're banging on schools for cheating them out of money. They're overspending and they keep asking for money. That is not all schools.
No, absolutely
and
not.
It's not fair that they clump us all.
Absolutely not. And it's
that's not us.
No. And I speak specifically for us. We have very transparent records that we keep, that we share, that we post online, that Mrs. Fisher reports to you twice a month, and what our audit reflects annually. So I think that our citizens can know that we maximize every dollar they send us. And if we can save a little money and put a little money in the bank, so if there is a catastrophic emergency, we have some money to take care of emergency repairs, purchase a new bus if necessary, and not have to go to the citizens and ask them for more money. I think that that's being responsible with their tax dollars.
I think so too. Okay.
Good question. Item 3.3, Property Tax Working Group. This was a group that was selected by the governor, appointed by the governor. There were treasurers, there were representatives. I'm not going to go all over it. But this, we thought the working group would they would go through the working group and the legislators would just leave it set aside. They've actually taken some really hard looks at the levy and funding reforms that they put in for how things are assessed. There's some loopholes in the tax laws now where people are able to get away depending on how they're incorporated or not incorporated. So that's good. It does some protection for our senior citizens, which is necessary. So you can take a look at that. Item 3.4, 403B and 457 agreements. We have to change to comply with laws our 457 and 403B plan documents and agreements. And she's attached to all of these for you. And it's just the provider that we have to go through, and there will be action on those as well. This is something that she would do with you probably every so often. I don't remember the frequency of it. Any questions there? The audit engagement letter, item 3.5. This needs to be signed by the board president and CFO treasurer because we're going to be engaging in audit, which we do annually. So that's there. Last item there in discussion, items 3.6. Copier agreement. We actually put Holy Cross Catholic School in contact with our provider for this, and that they were having some trouble. They actually we will pay for it with their auxiliary funds, but the contract is directly with Holy Cross and Perry Protect, who does all of our machines now. So, any questions on the treasurer's report?
Okay. Just a quick on the Perry Protect. The contract itself is between Perry Protect and Holy Cross?
And then their auxiliary funds, which come to us, pay for it. Actually, no. The auxiliary funds that come to us for Holy Cross Catholic will pay the bill. The contract is with us. I said that incorrectly. Yep.
Does anybody have any questions regarding the discussion items? If not, we'll move forward to the treasurer's report action items. First is 4.1.
That is moving the November 19 meeting to November 12. That's right. You can say it and I'll speak around if you want.
I don't move to make that motion.
I will second.
Any further discussion?
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
4.2, would entertain a motion to approve the 403 and 457 documents as required by the church.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Yes, any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
And myself.
4.3, would entertain a motion to authorize and approve the board president and the fiscal officer to sign the engagement letter for Victory and Bird.
I'll move on for please.
No, a second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
And 4.4, the copy agreement with Perry Protect.
I'll make that motion.
Charlie?
A second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Next is superintendent's report. Superintendent's report and special items.
Item 5.1, some important dates coming up. Our high school and varsity 8th grade band will be participating in the Halloween parade. On November 2, daylight savings time, so it'll be for all of you administrators, it'll be dark when you go to work, and it'll be dark when you go home from work. So it's that time of year. You'll see the light in April when it changes back, right? March when it changes back. November 4 is Election Day. November 11, you will see we have numerous Veterans Day programs that take place. We have a Veterans Day breakfast at the elementary at 8:15, the assembly at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and our middle school, high school Veterans Day assembly takes place at 9 a.m. We didn't change that, right? You told me that, Mr. Right, 9 a.m. Thank you. A few of us will be at Capitol Conference in Columbus the 16th through the 18th. Our winter Meet the Bulldogs is here at DHS at 6 p.m. on November 17th. November 19th, there is not a school board meeting anymore. That is now November 12th. And then we're having Turkey November 26th to the 28th. And Chris, what am I going to say next meeting?
Can't believe it's nearly Christmas.
Very good. Very good. Thanks. Any questions on those dates? All right. Here none. The Supreme Court. What I would like to do is publicly recognize Mr. Gerger, and he had, I would say, a 98% part in the success of the off-site Supreme Court visit on October 8th. I've received numerous messages, as has Mr. Gerger, thanking us for hosting that, specifically from the court themselves, from our local court, the mayor, and numerous representatives. And Mr. Gerger, if you would present that to the Board of Education. It was presented to me, but it says to the Defiance City School District. And so this is for you folks. The success of this event was made in part to Jay's outstanding leadership in coordination with the courts. He worked diligently with the staff, me a little bit, and to make sure it was organized, ran smoothly, and prepared. So, Jay, outstanding. I kid you a lot, but it was, I'm going to say in my 19 years here, 17 of which I've worked with you, it was the single most organized and highly successful event.
Yeah,
It's a great job.
as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
Mr. Carr, you'll get a thank you for having the middle school kids not be here that day. So, Mike, you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Morgan. I just wanted to say that later that day, I had to go to Columbus, and I made my typical 68-year-old bladder stop at the McDonald's in Bell Fountain. And as I was walking in, Joe Dieters was walking out, Supreme Court Justice Joe Dieters. And I said, hey, you were just in Defiance. He said, how did I know that? I introduced myself, and he said, Mayor, I know we said it during the meeting, but we've been to a lot of these, and this is by far the most well-organized. So thank you.
Good job.
So, all right. Go ahead.
I think a lot of community people, I don't know, it's like they heard about it after the fact, but then they were really impressed.
Yeah.
My dental girl this morning, how they put mouth like with stuff.
And then one of you guys.
But she would say, well, how did they happen to come here? And how did that work? And how did you get all those schools in there? I said, it must have looked like an ant colony from above.
Yeah.
Just people moving every which way.
It was really interesting from my perspective, and I'm not going to speak for Jay, but meeting with the marshals of the court and then planning the safety and then turning that over to the State Patrol and then the State Patrol meeting with us and then local PD and sheriff and then working with the off-site liaison from the Supreme Court, then working with Allison Hagerman, who's the court administrator for Judge Snake, and just how that all, none of us worked together in one office, and how through a few personal meetings and emails, how it all went off without a hitch. So it was outstanding.
Yeah, and if I may, I want to comment on our students and what a great job they did. They were so respectful. They didn't misbehave. They
That's such a trigger for having them with contempt of court by this house.
And I was impressed by our young people,
Yeah.
and thankful that there are. So
Yeah, that's a great
that was
point.
great.
Absolutely. So,
And our seniors had good questions.
yes, they did. It was, we had local attorneys come in and do some presentations ahead of time about the cases, what would be appropriate questions, through our government classes. So kudos to them for taking time out of their, they work by the hour, no pun intended, but that's how attorneys work, billable hours, and they weren't getting paid, and they were not mandated to do that. They were asked to the local bar association to do that. So it was very good. So we'll get that one up here in the courtroom, and so you can all speak around it. 5.3, our second and final reading on DCS policies, and if you recall, these were all revised to follow law. We went from, we have to revise our personal communication devices because they're not allowed, but in the event of emergency, how they're allowed, etc. Attendance, the laws for House Bill 96 changed from House Bill 410, and that became effective September 30th. Correct? I can't remember. Our religious release time, etc. So you've all had a couple of weeks to review that. Does anyone have any questions on the policy? Hearing none, this is an addendum item, Mr. Wall, board. You'll see an updated YMCA lease. The current board of directors, the executive director of the YMCA decided to sell the Y properties to a private party. I think I've shared that with you over the last few months. The lease agreement that we currently have in place was put in place March 8th of 2005, set to expire February 28th of 2030. For the sale of the building, the new purchaser, there were no easement agreements, for example, where the skate park sits for the Y. that sitting on our property. There was no easement agreement. There was no easement agreement for the use of parking, driving in our parking lot, etc. So that all needed to be cleaned up. And what you have in front of you now that I will ask for approval is to approve a new lease. It does not extend the term or the financial obligation of the school district whatsoever. It really just cleans it up so that the Y can sell the property to a private property. The Y then leases the property back from the private owner and then exists. And this agreement is between us and the Defiance area YMCA.
No changes in our activity up there?
No, we still have our same access to the swimming pool when they get it finished, the back gymnasiums, everything that we currently use at the YMCA. Administrative reports is what I have left, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you for submitting your administrative reports. I'm not going to make everybody speak. There were a few other items today, but did anybody have any specific comments or call-outs they want to make?
I didn't, I will point out Mrs. Sanchez, our professional development day on Monday. It was outstanding and a lot of positive feedback. I think she puts a tremendous effort, communicates with us all very well on what is needed, and communicates most importantly with the teaching faculty on what they need for their development. Of course, there are mandates that we have to go through and things that we have to do in those, but I thought it went well enough and appreciate those efforts.
Any board members have any questions for any administrative reports? There's only one action item from the sustainability superintendent's report, and that's regarding the addendum item that the YMCA is. I make a motion to approve the updated release by Mr. McCormick.
I so move.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
And myself.
Thank you.
The consent agenda. If you have any items that you feel like you need for discussion.
I would like to point out a number of donations, Mr. Roll. Baker sent their contracting, specifically Drew. He donated $26,242 worth of material to our sidewalk project. In addition to that, our athletic boosters donated $7,525 for the Peer Foundation that will eventually have the archway to the alumni walkway. And then a number of individual donors, the Optimists donating $1,000 to the soccer team, Jeffrey Hall, Horvath, an attorney here in town, donating $1,000 to the baseball team, Defiance Rotary and Snyder Financial donating to the soccer and boys baseball team as well. So we want to thank those supporters, and we see their names pretty regularly on these. So thanks to those folks.
So if there are any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
And myself.
Are there any old business items? Are there any new business items?
Can I make a comment? I want to thank you, Mr. Morton, because when you came on as superintendent, part of the vision for you was to make us a leader in young men. I think that greatly appreciated and highly respected for what you've done for us. And it really was my heart good to hear somebody from the state come up and tell us.
I have a bias, yes. No, it's. I think that you were all very transparent with me and honest with me during my evaluation process, and you said one of the key comments that it said that you were worried about me stressing too much about the changes in the laws and everything that was going on, and I really kind of made myself reflect on, I don't have control of these people, and I think that your administrators are really, I am a control freak. It's just my nature, type A personality. And I had to take a step back and reevaluate how I attack those types of things. And it's with gathering people and taking that role and moving forward as a group and versus an individual, because they just think I'm the complaining superintendent from Defiance when I constantly call them by myself. So, but thanks, guys. I appreciate you recognizing that.
And I noticed down at the CAP conference last year, all the people, superintendent-wise and trading, have a lot of respect for Bob.
Absolutely.
And you're old, Charlie. They know who you are because you've been around a long time.
Yeah, but your personality has a lot to do with it, too.
Thank you. My dad used to say, and don't put this in the paper, the bullshit with music, boy, you'd be a brass band. So.
I just had one quick you as a business question, since it was in the news today, and then Dr.
Yeah.
What kind of effects did that have?
Well, it's very interesting. So I'll back up OHSAA and how it works. The OHSAA and all of the, it's actually a principals association. So Mr. Gerger and I both, because I get the same emails, we've been getting emails pretty regularly the last few days. So there was a lawsuit filed by a student athlete in the Dayton area. He's a very high-profile national recruit. And Ohio is one of only 6, Jay, am I correct in saying that? 6 states in the United States that does not have an NIL, or we don't allow for name, image, and likeness compensation for high school athletes. It's been voted down a couple of times by principals, and I think that they see it in terms of how it's presented at the collegiate level. It's kind of become a wild, wild west. I'll go here if the money's right. And I think that that's what was, the thought process. A judge in Ohio, somewhere, wherever it was filed, was it in Franklin County, did grant a temporary injunction to allow student athletes to do that. There will be an emergency vote, and it's kind of all for naught, because the emergency vote is going to say, well, we got sued, so we're going to have to approve it. I actually have an OHSA committee meeting Friday morning in Dr. Axner's office with the commissioner. I'm sure that will be our 2.5-hour agenda. But it'll be very interesting. Their kids are really talented with social media, and I can see, hey, we'll use Wes, he's not here. Hey, I'm the star quarterback at Defiance City Schools, and I'm a 4-star recruit, and go visit my friend Wes Motes. He can't do it, he's on the board, for example. So go visit my friend Wes Motes for an oil change and mention my name and get 10% off. And then that, every time there's a like to that, that student athlete could potentially get $1. That's a simple version of how it works. It is all through things like that. Big time college players are getting millions of dollars in these deals, millions of dollars. I have a friend whose son plays baseball at a university, and he got a deal with a sandwich shop in the community, and he got a sandwich a day, and he had to wear his hoodie or his T-shirt or something identifying that, and he had to get his picture with that, and he's a pretty successful student athlete. It's kind of funny. And he said, it's worth $40 a week for me that I don't have to ask my parents for or spend myself. And I thought, well, he said, but I didn't know how to pay taxes on that. And I said, no. So it probably wasn't worth it. But anyway, a long-winded answer to my question.
Interesting. Thank you. Any other new business items? If not, we have a need to enter executive session.
Oh, we already did. Never mind. I'm sorry.
We can roll call for
We need to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing employment matter and also to discuss the matter